Stop everything you are doing this very instant in this infinitesimal fraction of a moment. Do not scroll past this clip. Do not even think of switching to another app. Cancel all your appointments. Activate airplane mode on your phone. Shut off Wi-Fi on every single other device in your home. Lock your sturdy doors, draw your blinds, and crank your speakers all the way up until the pure bass is violently rattling the concrete foundation beneath your floorboards. I require your complete, unwavering, hyper-focused, paralyzing attention for the next few minutes because the entire world of professional sports is undergoing an extraordinary, cataclysmic, irreversible meltdown. The mainstream sports press, the panicked billionaire executives in their glassed-in corporate towers, and the established, frantic veterans hiding in the shadowed, whispered, oxygen-starved corners of the WTA locker room are entirely, utterly, and permanently helpless. The state of Florida is officially gripped by a psychological siege. The monumental Miami tournament, the ultimate crown jewel of the American hardcourt swing, the flawless, heavily sponsored arena that was deliberately built for the European and American tennis elite, has just been aggressively, unapologetically, and systematically overtaken. Yesterday afternoon, under the scorching, oppressive, relentless heat and the unbearable thick humidity of the Miami sun, the tennis powers believed they could finally stop her. They examined the semifinal clash, they considered the punishing weather and genuinely, foolishly assumed that the physical strain would finally crush the 20-year-old. The Filipino prodigy. They unleashed their absolute top, most conditioned, highest-ranked warrior onto the glaring stadium court to finally crush the Philippine uprising. They assumed the scorching Florida heat would melt her resolve. They believed the blinding multi-million-dollar stadium lights would at last shatter her mental armor into countless fragments. They deceived themselves. They deceived the global audience. And yesterday they were violently, historically humiliated in front of the entire watching world. What Alexandra Eala achieved yesterday was more than a tennis match. It was not a casual athletic contest. It was a verified, blood-stained, televised obituary for the old guard of the Women's Tennis Association. It was the ultimate, indisputable, horrifying proof of a complete psychological annihilation. Alexandra Eala did not merely defeat her rival. She reached across the net, stared her directly in the eyes, and stripped her of every ounce of dignity. She utterly neutralized the immense, overwhelming authority of the tennis establishment. She absorbed 100 miles per hour baseline rockets. She absorbed the sheer desperation of a veteran battling for survival, and returned every shot with suffocating, venomous, lead-heavy Morca top spin that nearly tore the racket from her opponent's blistered hands. I want you to close your eyes and vividly imagine the pure, unfiltered, suffocating psychological torment that unfolded on that blazing hard court yesterday. The veteran was literally gasping for breath in the thick Miami humidity. Her legs felt like slabs of solid concrete. Her lungs burned with every inhale. She looked across the net, desperate for even the smallest sign of frailty, desperate to witness the 20-year-old faltering, bending, or collapsing under the immense pressure. But what did she find? What stared back? She saw Alexandra Eala perfectly poised on the baseline, her heart rate chillingly calm at a mere 50 beats per minute. Eala remained completely unshaken, brushing away a single solitary bead of sweat from her brow and locking eyes with the dead-eyed, unwavering, emotionless intensity of a true apex predator. Eala surgically erased every trace of vulnerability from her performance. She broke her rival's serve. She annihilated her opponent's tactical strategy, and ultimately, she dismantled her opponent's fundamental will to continue. When the final crushing shot fell yesterday, the silence in the VIP corporate suites was absolute, deafening. The highly paid national commentators were stammering, sweating visibly on camera, scrambling to find the words to describe precisely how a 20-year-old Filipina prodigy had transformed a major Miami semifinalito, a personalized one-way execution chamber. But the nightmare for the multi-billion-dollar tennis hierarchy did not end with yesterday's annihilation. Yesterday was merely the violent warning shot echoing across the ocean. Yesterday was just the cinematic trailer. Because tomorrow brings the ultimate world-shattering climax. Tomorrow is the finale, the terrifying generational prophecy about to be fully and permanently realized. Tomorrow, Alexandra Eala will step onto the most colossal, blinding, intimidating stage of her life to ruthlessly claim the crown. And the panic inside the WTA executive suites right now has officially reached level 5 biological hazard. The billion-dollar corporate sponsors. Brands like Nike, Head, and Rolex are drenched through their custom-tailored suits. They have poured hundreds of millions of dollars over the last 5 years building fabricated marketing campaigns around their carefully curated stars. They had the corporate script fully drafted. They had the trophy engraving meticulously planned, and now they stare straight down the barrel of a complete, catastrophic, unstoppable global upheaval. The establishment has entirely run out of hiding spots. They have run out of excuses and are forced to unleash their absolute final desperate do-or-die weapon. I need you to examine the official matchup for tomorrow. The terrified powers have sent the 13th seed, the seasoned, supremely versatile, battle-hardened European veteran Karolina Muchova, to face our 31st seed, Alexandra Eala Karolina Muchova. The executives are on their knees, begging her to become the savior. They hand her the racket, silently telling her, "You are our final line of defense on Earth. If you fail to stop this Filipina prodigy tomorrow, she will seize the massive Miami trophy. She will claim all our primetime sponsorships and permanently, violently dismantle our carefully constructed hierarchy forever." Let me paint a vivid, terrifying picture of the psychological nightmare Karolina Muchova is enduring at this very moment. You are Muchova. You sit alone in your lavish Miami hotel room. The air conditioning blasts, but sweat drips down your face. You struggle to sleep. You strain to close your eyes and imagine a path to victory for tomorrow's final. You try to recall your slice backhand, your net approaches, your tactical variations. But every time you close your eyes, you do not see a tennis ball. You see Eala's heavy, punishing, shoulder-high topspin. You recall the chilling words of Rafael Nadal himself, the king of clay, the greatest gladiator the sport has ever produced, publicly endorsing Eala, declaring her his absolute masterpiece, and validating her brutal, mind-shredding academy regimen. Muchova knows, deep in the darkest, most terrified depths of her soul, that the Rafael Nadal Academy in Mallorca is not a summer camp. She knows it is no country club. She knows that Eala was systematically, scientifically, and ruthlessly forged in the very same fires on the same brutal, unforgiving red clay that created the most relentless, unyielding gladiator in history. How can Karolina Muchova possibly strategize against a player who has the entire tactical, physical, and psychological philosophy of Rafael Nadal coursing directly through her veins? How do you mentally prepare to face a 31st seed who views a massive career-defining final not as a pressure cooker, not as a challenge, but as an absolute, undeniable birthright? You don't. You can't. Karolina Muchova sits in her locker room right now, hands trembling, heart racing 100 miles per hour, realizing the truly terrifying truth. Tomorrow, she is not merely facing the pride of the Philippines. She is confronting the immortal ghost of Rafael Nadal incarnated into a faster, hungrier, unstoppable baseline machine. Muchova is walking blindly into a concrete trap, and the entire world will watch the heavy steel doors lock behind her. And let us examine the ultimate weapon Alexandra Eala wields. A weapon of mass destruction that the American establishment completely failed to account for in their calculations. The Eala Army, the massive, unstoppable Filipino diaspora in Florida and across the United States, has been fully mobilized. It is a general call to arms when Alexandra Eala emerges from the tunnel and steps onto the blinding stadium court. Tomorrow, when she faces Muchova, Eala will not walk out as a solitary tennis player. She will step onto that court with the deafening, unwavering, fiercely passionate, fanatic support of over 115 million Philippine transformed. It will not sound like a polite, quiet country club American tennis match. It will roar like a sold-out, frenzied, pulsating arena in the very heart of Manila. The sheer volume will break acoustic records before the umpire even calls time. Karolina Muchova will realize in that split, horrifying instant she is playing an away game in the most hostile, intimidating, overwhelming environment on the entire planet. Eala is weaponizing the crowd. She is weaponizing her culture, and the 13th seed will physically suffocate under the crushing weight of competing against a unified global movement. This is the exact moment the historical torch is violently, unapologetically, and permanently ripped from the soft hands of the old guard. The era of the American and European media controlling who holds the massive trophies, deciding magazine covers, and dictating which players fans are allowed to love is permanently dead. The crown is being claimed by absolute, undeniable brute force. Alexandra Eala is no longer the future of women's tennis. She is the terrifying, unstoppable, all-consuming present. Tomorrow against Muchova, she is not just playing for a title tomorrow, she competes to solidify an absolute, undisputed global empire. I need you to completely, absolutely, and aggressively flood the comments below right now. I need the Eala army to mobilize like never before in the history of the internet. I need your voices to be heard so loudly, so relentlessly, and with such overwhelming, undeniable, terrifying force that the panicked corporate executives in their boardrooms and Karolina Muchová, hiding in her hotel, cannot possibly ignore the absolute truth of what is coming tomorrow. Share this video on every platform you have. Send it to everyone. What is your immediate, unfiltered, aggressive prediction for tomorrow's final between Eala and Muchova? Do you agree that the suffocating Miami Heat is nothing compared to the inferno Eala was forged in at the Nadal Academy? How deafeningly, earth-shatteringly loud will the Eala army be when she steps onto the court tomorrow to claim her destiny? Is there anyone left in the professional tour capable of stopping her from lifting that massive trophy? Or is tomorrow the inevitable, official coronation of the new, undisputed queen of the WTA? Drop music, your wildest celebrations, deepest tactical analysis, loudest cheers, and your boldest, most terrifying predictions for her impending championship in the comments below. The revolution is not coming. The revolution is already here. The establishment burns in ashes, and tomorrow Alexandra Eala officially takes over the world. Standing right behind her baseline. The colossal Hard Rock Stadium in Miami will be completely culturally